We're going to jump to this next story from Mediaite. My friends, in talking about what the political factions in the culture war are, let me just say there are two. Those who feel sorry for Joe Biden's cancer and those who don't really feel sorry for him. And this is Donald Trump. Oh, come on, Mediaite. You always do this.
And I asked Caroline this yesterday, but I want to ask you directly. So many of the things that you're trying to do are held up in court right now.
Okay, I don't think this clip is actually related to that quote, and the quote is funnier, so let's just... if the courts are going to have influence over the U.S. policy, do you wish you could become judge instead? And Trump chuckled and embarked on a nearly 5-minute whirlwind response that concluded with an attack on Biden's handling of the border. And then, without mentioning Biden's diagnosis, Trump said the people should not feel sorry for the ex-president. And I don't believe it was Joe Biden. Look, he's been sort of a moderate person over his lifetime, not a smart person, but a somewhat vicious person, I will say. If you feel sorry for him, don't feel so sorry because he's vicious. What he did with his political opponent and all of the people that he hurt a lot of people, and so I don't really feel sorry for him. Trump's remarks were a far cry from his statement in the immediate aftermath of Biden's diagnosis, which is, Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. He wrote, "We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery." That was probably written by a staffer.
Well, that was for sure written by a staffer, and that's why he is now saying the honest truth. I don't actually really feel bad. Nobody believed him when he said, "Oh, we're so sorry that you've got cancer." They've known about it for a long time. Does anybody actually feel sorry? They've known. This is elder abuse. At best.
Yeah, Jill Biden is responsible for a lot.
Joe knew.
Yeah.
Of course he knew.
Dr. Drew was saying this. I did an interview with him that there's no way this was, we did a routine exam and found cancer and it's metastasized to the bone. He's like, that takes years. Even if it's aggressive, it's a couple years.
Well, there was clips where he had mentioned it several times. I have cancer. I had cancer.
Yeah.
No, he knew.
How do you guys...
Outright, I have cancer in one clip.
Say again?
He outright said, I and so many others have cancer.
But that's what I'm saying. It's
And
like
then
they knew about this.
The media came out and they were like, no, he's talking about his skin lesions.
Yeah.
Which once again, I asked Dr. Joe, I'm like, you're a doctor. And he's like, literally no one considers a skin lesion having cancer.
No.
His dermatologist told him so. How do you feel about this approach to politicians when it comes to having a certain level of sympathy for someone who has a diagnosis like this after time in office, which has been marked by a lot of mistrust from the public and a lot of waste that has gone on and made America worse? Because on the average day for me, it could go either way. There are days where it's like I feel like you lose humanity if you don't at least learn to accept and understand and feel empathy for the suffering of another person. But on other days, I'm like, politicians are scum.
But like, do you believe in God?
I'm agnostic.
Agnostic. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Phil, you believe in God?
I'm also agnostic.
Agnostic. Okay, so I'll just ask you, do you think God intervenes in our earthly dwelling?
Yes.
I would just say that if you are someone who believes that God smites, then why would you have sympathy for an evil man who has been smited? Is it the word?
Smitten.
Smitten?
Smote.
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 Actually,
See, and I would take it a step further in this
who has been smote?
Smote. I'd argue it took a little long. Sorry.
I don't know. Having like a very serious cancer that weighs you down and is damaging is it's brutal.
For sure. But then look, I think we should be looking more at the people around him that hid it from him and hid it from the American people and lied to the American people. And I think that we should also be looking at who else they lied to, the entire globe, while signing his name on documents that he had no clue what was being signed. I don't necessarily feel bad for him. I feel like the people around him should be held to account for what they did to this man and put him in the position when he was this sick this often. Yeah. And for this, like that's disgusting to me. Like, I don't feel bad for what's happening in terms of, I believe in karma. I believe in bad things happen to people who do terrible things. And over time, the cancers will build in your body because you can't let go of that stress. That will sit in your cells. But I also do believe that the people around him are the bad people, the people that have lied continuously and put people into positions where other Americans have died over stupidity because of ignorance.
Yeah.
I think Joe Biden was smote.
That too.
I don't know. Like, I guess for me, when I think about it from that perspective, most of the time, if I'm thinking about my own empathy or sympathy towards another person, it's not about whether I think they're going to get what's coming to them. It's about what it does to myself or who I am if I start to become too vengeful towards someone, even if I disagree with them heavily. Now, again, that goes back and forth depending on the day and the mood I'm in, but I lean towards showing empathy and sympathy for most people.
You can show empathy and sympathy for most people, but I think you can also trust in a greater that something else will take care of it for you. It's not on you to handle. It's just let it be.
But where's the line?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't have an answer for you on that because this is purely from an introspective. Hitler? This is from an introspective standpoint where it's like, yeah, Hitler's the obvious example. Like, I have no empathy or sympathy for Hitler. Sure.
Stalin.
But for me, it's a question that would come up depending on the situation. In those examples,
Adam Schiff.
Tons of empathy. And sympathy. Endless amounts. I'm going to write a book about it.
But to any degree, sympathy for a man like Jamie Raskin's a better example.
I just think it's look, I don't have an answer for you. I just think that for most people, especially if you're on the internet a lot, we get desensitized to everything that's going on in the world. It's good to at least ask yourself to be introspective about how you feel about these people that you've never met, but they affect your life.
I would add this too. There's no real way to understand whether a person was smote or not. Because sometimes good people get cancer, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens.
And we're not going to be like this, good God-fearing man who dedicated his life getting cancer. And then, but some people they'll interpret it in some way, like God is testing him or something. So it's like, if you think a bad person had a bad thing happen to him, it's just your personal opinion, I guess, without any bearing in reality or fact.
That happened with when the George Floyd statue got struck by lightning, and everybody's like,
"It's the wall."
Was it the mural that got struck? And they're like, it was a sign from God. I'm like, or it was just a weather event.
Oh, dude, it's crazy to me. Like, we've got this video we'll talk about later with Sasquatch, and obviously it's like some guy, but it's funny either way. But I have had experiences in my life that seemingly defy our understanding of science, physics, and reason. And there have been moments witnessed by all that seem astronomically unlikely that I believe shows there is a something beyond what we understand the universe to be. So largely the secular folks will view the universe as this universal code, physics and structure of how things go. But then you get a brick wall with a picture of George Floyd having a crown, and lightning strikes just in the middle, blowing up only one layer of the two-layer wall, only the mural of George Floyd, leaving the rest of the building intact. And it was a storm that moved in, lightning struck, and then the storm dissipated.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
And I look
agnostic
at that.
Over there.
I look at that and I say, the question is, how do you define what a miracle is? Right? So I've asked theologians this. Is a miracle, say, like a ham sandwich appearing out of thin air and flopping on the table? Like, wow, how did that happen? Or is a miracle something that is seemingly defying all odds and occurring in front of you, but still within the realm of possibility? So when it was a brick wall with two layers of bricks. Mm-hmm. The middle of the building, which should not be struck by lightning, was struck by lightning, destroying only the mural of George Floyd with the crown and leaving the rest of the mural intact. And I'm just like, I look at that like an act of God. When people were like, God's making hurricanes because you're gay, I'm like, I don't know.
That's taking it too far.
But when the lightning strike, I'm like, geez, that's a little specific.
Just sending a message directly.
Very specific.
It's hyper pinpoint.
But I've also experienced things personally that seemingly defy our understanding of physics, and I think a lot of people have. It's hard to track and control for these things and understand what they are. And then I wonder if a lot of these, directly atheist individuals who are like, we're wet robots, nothing is magic, they've never had an experience.
And I wonder if they've either had experiences and it's been so overwhelming. It's kind of like when you see something so hard to deal with that your whole body goes, there's no way that could be real. There's no way that could have happened. They shut down and go the complete opposite way. That would make sense, at least for me.
Maybe. I don't know. I will just say that even here at the studio, this is a brand new building, we have had strange occurrences and, omens and for personal reasons, we can't, I won't discuss it. It's not my business, but let's just say poltergeist phenomenon has occurred.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Love that for me.
And been witnessed by numerous people. And everybody was frozen with a shocked look on their face, and this is like recently.
Is it just in this building specifically
Yes.
on the property?
Now, certainly this property was a battlefield.
That was my next
Civil
question.
War?
Well, what was here first?
It wasn't so where we are wasn't like a direct conflict zone in the way that like Antietam was.
Okay.
But we have found we found a bayonet during a construction process.
Did you bring it in here?
No, I don't know where it is. We found a rusted bayonet.
That's sick.
We think it was used.
That's even more
Like
sick.
we think it broke off in use.
Oh, buddy. Do you have
Yeah, Civil
anything
War.
inside the property?
There is a grave site on the property.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, we actually have a grave.
do you
on the
let
property.
people know that before they decide to come to the show?
Well, there are graves all over the place.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, there's several tombs from the 1800s on the property that have fallen into disrepair, and the ground has shifted, and they've fallen over. Yeah.
I didn't bring enough sage for this.
No,
Jesus.
I don't know. Anyway, long story short, I think sometimes people get smote.
yeah. Look, I mean, as far as Joe Biden goes, like this may sound kind of callous, but like he's an old guy, and I never met him. So it's not that I don't care, and I don't feel malice towards the guy, but at the same time, like, it's not going to change my life.
Right.
So I'm kind of just like, old people get sick and die.
I also think too, based on what he's done to the nation and the impact that he has left, him dying is tragic. Any human dying is tragic. Any person suffering is tragic. But it does not amount to the amount of suffering he's imposed on nations and people and his own people, and hasn't asked them how they felt or how it affected them or if they should care. But we're supposed to have deep empathy for the man that imposed left,
No.
right, and center. I'm not saying you. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah,
we should all feel bad. Okay, what about everything he did over the past terms that he was here, and then before that, and then before that? Like, I just don't understand where the line is.
He's just an old politician.
Right.
And like there are people that kind of wrap their lives into politics, and average people can just be like, oh, drag, and go about their lives, because that's actually the proper response to finding out someone that you didn't know who's lived a very long life is their life is coming to an end. Well, that's what happens to
People die.
Yeah.
We die. We're not all Brian Johnson. We're not looking to live 170,000. Like, what's happening here?
I guess maybe my point was more that when politicians get sick, especially controversial politicians, I'm speaking more to the people that tend to take pleasure or glee in that, and that's a different thing
though.
entirely. So I guess that was maybe more the point that I was trying to make,
Fair
and
enough.
kind of failed in my job, is that I try to weigh my kind of antagonism that I feel towards all politicians and make sure that I level myself out so that I don't
Just let it out, man.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
let
this is a safe space.
Make a video just yelling at the sun.
Yeah, you know?
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.